name is Reverend Mugarura, and my wife is Joy. We have been blessed by God with 5 children, biologically our own, but many other children God has given us during the time of our ministry. And as we speak now, God has blessed us with our 4th grandchild, our young lady. We thank God for our children and for our grandchildren. We were called into ministry in the Anglican Church to serve the Lord, and for many years of our working time, we have been serving in the youth area of ministry, in the sense that we were involved for many years in training leaders of young people's groups throughout this nation. And then we eventually ended up as chaplain at Makerere University, the largest university in Uganda, where we served for 19 years before we came and retired here. From the north and south, when we were coming close to our time of retirement, it was a very challenging time for us. Obviously, we had never been retired before, so we had to wonder what kind of life retirement really is. We know of many of our friends who have retired and who live in other countries. They have retired with great benefits from their retirement benefits, and they have therefore scheduled to travel and visit the countries they have never visited. But that was not so with us. With us, we were going to retire and humbly retire at whatever place. Anyway, way back in 1994, through a very interesting circumstances, God gave us a piece of land where now the Joy Center is seated, in Wakiso town, on Hoima Road, as one leaves Kampala, towards the northwest. It came about because the World Bank advised the Ugandan government to thin out the workers of government, and therefore Joy was one of the people who were laid off at that particular time, and they were given some money, some parting money, which we then invested in buying this plot of land. The Lord spoke very clearly to us that He wanted us to do something with this land, that we were going to have a home on this piece of land, and that we were going to develop a center, which He gave us to be a leadership training center. To us, it was an uphill kind of task, because we did not have money. We did not see how anyone would start building a center, which means that one has many buildings, which means that one has workers, which means all that kind of thing, and we didn't have money. So we went back to Him in prayer, and He spoke to us through the book of Psalms, and He said that in our old age, we will bear more fruit, much fruit. In my story, way back, in my young time, I was a drunkard. I lived in really satisfying my own very flesh, especially with alcohol. But God one morning met me on the street and asked me a very strange question, whether I wanted to live or die, and I chose to live. And from that day, He started directing my life until 5 years later, I opened my heart to Jesus and I accepted him as my Savior, because I came to understand that he was the one who met me on the street when I was in my drunken stupor early in the morning. So as we come to retirement, and as we were asking ourselves, what are we going to do? What are we going? Contracts are ending. When you work for the Anglican Church of Uganda, you retire when you're 65. It is compulsory. When you work, as we were working for Makerere University, once you're 60 years old, you retire. It is compulsory. So the question then was, what are we going to do? And that's when the Lord put us down with questions. We asked question, what do you want us to do? And he answered with a question. And one of the questions was, what have you enjoyed during your time of working in ministry? And our response was that we enjoyed seeing young people come to us, and through a period we are together, whether it was at university through 3 years, or whether it was before we went to university, it was much longer time. But seeing the young people come from the timid youth to a leader in their right. And we said that's what we enjoyed. We enjoyed seeing young people being transformed into leaders of our nation. And at that particular time, our nation was going through very, very difficult challenges, because of the wars that we had gone through for 30 years, and the scourge of AIDS had decimated the leadership generation of leaders out of our nation, so that the younger people were being pushed up into places of leadership without having been groomed by anybody. So we took it as a challenge. That's what he was telling us, and we enjoyed it, and therefore we were going to go and do it. Second thing was that he reminded us that when, for instance, when he picked me up on that street, in the morning, on Friday in the morning, he did not make a contract with me of how long I was going to serve him. And I just surrendered and said, okay, God, it's okay. You take over, lead. Wherever you lead, we will go. So we have followed his footsteps, his steps that he has set for us ever since that time, knowing that he knows we can still serve him even in our old age. And that made the scripture that we had read from Psalms make sense, much, much more sense, that the Lord was not done with us. We were going to only relocate our ministry out of the parochial or parish ministry, where we have congregations, to setting up a ministry where he was going to be the leader.